Question 1. In light of recent developments, Ista Ramirez, the hotel's revenue manager, noticed that despite increasing average daily rates ADA, the hotel's overall revenue has plateaued. He suspects that shift in market segmentation and distribution channel mix is impacting demand elasticity. Considering revenue management principles, what should Ista Ramirez prioritize to optimize revenue under these circumstances? A. Increase prices across all room categories uniformly to maximize per room revenue. B. Analyze demand patterns by segment and channel, then adjust pricing and inventory control selectively. C. Focus on expanding corporate group sales to stabilize demand. D. Reduce prices on all OTA channels to capture more volume regardless of margin impact. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Revenue management hinges on understanding the interplay between pricing, inventory control, and customer segmentation to maximize revenue. Increasing prices uniformly. A. Risks losing price-sensitive segments. Expanding corporate sales. C. Is useful but may not address channel demand shifts. Across the board OTA discounts. D. Can erode profitability. The best approach is to analyze booking data, segment and channel. B. To apply dynamic pricing and allocation strategies optimizing yield. This aligns with the principles outlined in revenue management frameworks such as those described by Kimes and the ACMI guidelines. This approach considers demand elasticity and price sensitivity, enabling maximization of total revenue rather than simple ADA increases. Question 2. Given the circumstances, Is Chang, the Director of Finance, is preparing the hotel's monthly financial report. The hotel follows the uniform system of accounts for the lodging industry at Uzali. She needs to explain the significance of the departmental profit margin to the ownership group. What underlying concept should Is Chang emphasize regarding departmental profit margins within Uzali? A. Departmental profit margin reflects gross revenue minus fixed operating expenses allocated to the department. B. Departmental profit margin is the net profit after deducting all expenses, including interest and taxes. C. Departmental profit margin indicates how well department controls both its direct revenues and controllable expenses. D. Departmental profit margin only includes labor costs and excludes controllable expenses. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Under Uzali, departmental profit margin measures the profitability of a department after deducting controllable expenses, e.g. labor supplies, but before fixed charges, rent, interest. It reflects a department's operational efficiency by showing how well management controls expenses relative to revenue. Options A and B confuse the scope of expenses included. A incorrectly states fixed expenses are deducted at departmental level, and B incorrectly includes all expenses to calculate departmental profit. Option D understates expense categories. Proper understanding of departmental profit margins guides operational decisions and aligns with Uzali's purpose to provide standardized, comparable financial data. Question 3. While examining labor cost control, the rooms division manager finds that despite stable occupancy, labor costs in housekeeping have risen sharply. Upon investigation, he discovers an increase in overtime hours and temporary staff usage. According to best practices in labor cost management, what is the most effective approach Singh should take to control these costs without compromising service quality? A. Immediately reduce staffing levels to cut overtime and temporary labor expenses. B. Analyze scheduling efficiency, forecast labor needs accurately, and implement flexible shift patterns. C. Outsource housekeeping to third-party vendors to reduce labor liabilities. D. Increase automation and reduce manual cleaning tasks regardless of initial costs. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Labor cost control balances staffing needs and service quality. Simply cutting staff A risks poor service and employee burnout. Outsourcing. C. Automation. D. Can be strategic long-term but may not be feasible immediately or cost-effective. The most effective immediate step is to review scheduling practices. B. Using forecasting tools and flexible shifts to align labor with actual demand. Unnecessary overtime and reliance on temps. This aligns with labor cost control guidelines and workforce management principles promoted by hospitality operational standards and the ALA best practices. Question 4. Based on the information from the hotel's recent capital budgeting review, Mrs. Evans, the general manager must decide whether to replace aging HVAC equipment using the net present value (NPV) method. The new equipment has a higher upfront cost but promises significant energy savings over 10 years. What is the fundamental principle Mrs. Evans should apply when interpreting the NPV in this decision? A. Select the option with the lowest upfront cost to maintain liquidity. B. Choose the project only if the NPV is positive, indicating expected cash inflows exceed outflows discounted at the cost of capital. C. Replace equipment only if the payback period is less than 3 years, regardless of NEV. D. Use the internal rate of return exclusively as it provides a clearer profitability measure. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. NEV reflects the value added by an investment after accounting for the time, value of money, and risk. Discount rate. A positive NPV means the investment is expected to generate returns above the cost of capital, enhancing shareholder value. Selecting lowest upfront cost. A. Ignores long-term profitability, focusing solely on payback. C. Neglects cash flow, timing, and overall value. D. Is a helpful complementary metric, but NEV remains the primary decision tool as per financial management standards like those in hospitality capital budgeting guidelines, e.g., CFA Institute and hospitality finance literature. Question 5. In the context of compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act, Ada Istalopes, the hotel's facilities manager, is reviewing room renovations. The hotel wants to ensure accessibility without compromising design aesthetics. What key principles should guide Istalopes to ensure compliance with ADA standards? A. Accessibility features must be visibly prominent to all guests. B. Only rooms in the premium category need to be ADA compliant. C. Accessibility must be integrated throughout public and guest areas, ensuring equivalent usability for guests with disabilities. D. Providing accessibility only at the entrance is sufficient to meet ADA requirements. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. ADA compliance requires that hotels provide equal access and usability to guests with disabilities across all public spaces and guest rooms without discrimination. This includes accessible routes, signage, and room features, not just entrances or selective rooms. The goal is equivalent experience and dignity consistent with ADA Title Roma regulations and Dutch guidelines. Options A and D are inadequate. B is legally incorrect as ADA applies broadly, not selectively. Compliance must be proactive, comprehensive, and integrated into design, balancing aesthetics with function. Question 6. When considering the challenges faced by Ista Bennett, the hotel sales director, who is tasked with improving group sales during an economic downturn, which strategic approach would best align with contemporary sales and marketing theory to sustain revenue? A. Focus exclusively on deep discounts to attract price-sensitive group clients. B. Develop value-added packages emphasizing unique experiences and service customization. C. Shift all marketing efforts to individual leisure travelers as groups decline. D. Increase cold calling volume to generate more leads regardless of conversion rates. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Contemporary sales theory promotes value-based selling rather than competing solely on price. Deep discounts, they erode margins and brand equity. Ignoring groups entirely. C. Forfeits revenue streams. Indiscriminate cold calls. D. Waste resources. Tailoring packages that highlight unique experiences and customization. B. Adds perceived value, enhances client loyalty, and differentiates the hotel. With the principles of consultative selling and customer relationship management endorsed by HMI and marketing experts, especially critical during economic downturns to maintain profitability. Question 7. Under the assumption that Isa Patel, the hotel's HR director, is revising the employee appraisal system to better reflect workforce diversity and inclusion goals, what key principles should guide the redesign to ensure fairness and legal compliance? A. Use standardized appraisal form with no modifications for different employee groups. B. Include subjective evaluations to allow managers discretion in assessing diverse cultural behaviors. C. Design the appraisal system to minimize biases by incorporating objective metrics and multi-rater feedback. D. Allow employees to self-evaluate exclusively to empower diverse voices. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Fair and legally compliant appraisal systems aim to reduce bias and discrimination. Standard forms without cultural sensitivity. A. Risk ignoring individual differences. The subjective evaluations. B. Increased bias as self-evaluation alone. D. Lacks managerial oversight, incorporating objective measurable performance indicators and gathering feedback from multiple sources. 360-degree. C. Helps ensure evaluations are balanced, transparent, and inclusive, complying with employment laws like EOP guidelines and promoting equity in performance management. Question 8. From a practical standpoint, Eastern Yuan, the FB manager faces challenges controlling food cost variance despite strict purchasing controls. His team suspects high wastage and theft but lacks concrete data. What best practice should Eastern Yuan implement to identify and reduce food cost variance effectively? A. Conduct surprise inventory audits and implement a waste tracking system linked to POS data. B. Focus solely on renegotiating supplier contracts to reduce purchase price. C. Limit menu offerings to reduce inventory complexity regardless of guest preferences. D. Increase portion sizes to prevent customer complaints about small servings. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Food cost variance control requires accurate measurement and accountability. Surprise audits help uncover shrinkage. Waste tracking linked to point of sale. POS systems provides real-time data to identify inefficiencies. Supplier renegotiations. B. Affect purchase price but not wastage. Limiting menus. C. May reduce complexity but does not address theft. Increasing portions. D. Increases cost. Effective control blends operational oversight, technology integration, and staff training consistent with FB financial management best practices. Question 9. Throughout the course of a crisis, Mr. Owens, the hotel general manager, must lead emergency preparedness efforts during a severe storm forecast. What leadership approach aligns best with crisis management principles to ensure safety and minimize operational disruption? A. Delegate all decisions to department heads to reduce GM workload. B. Centralize communication, make timely decisions, and maintain clear, consistent messaging to staff and guests. C. Wait for official government instructions before taking any action. D. Focus exclusively on protecting physical assets, postponing guest communication. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Effective crisis leadership requires centralized command, rapid decision-making, and transparent communication to all stakeholders. Delegating decisions excessively. A. Risks inconsistent responses. Waiting passively. C. Delays mitigation. Ignoring guest communication. D. Harms reputation and safety. Following frameworks such as NFPA and FEMA guidelines, proactive, clear leadership ensures staff and safety, maintains trust, and minimizes damage, fulfilling legal and ethical obligations in crisis situations. Question 10. As illustrated by the hotel's recent shift to cloud-based property management systems (PMS), IS Garcia, the rooms division manager, must address staff resistance and operational risks. What critical factor should IS Garcia focus on to ensure successful technology integration? A. Enforce mandatory use of the system without additional training to expedite adoption. B. Provide comprehensive training, involve staff in system customization, and establish feedback loops. C. Outsource all PMS operations to third-party vendor to avoid staff interference. D. Limit system access to management to prevent user errors by frontline staff. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Successful technology adoption requires addressing human factors. Training equips staff with skills, involving them in customization increases ownership and reduces resistance. Feedback loops allow continuous improvement. Enforcement without training. A. Causes errors. Outsourcing. C. May reduce control, restricting access. D. Hampers efficiency. Change management models. E. G. Emphasize communication. Training and engagement as keys to PMS implementation success, ensuring operational continuity and improved guest service. Question 11. Considering the evidence, IS Thompson, the hotel controller, is analyzing the variance report and notices a significant unfavorable variance in the departmental expenses for food and beverage. The report shows that while sales increased by 8%, expenses grew by 15%. What is the best conceptual approaches Thomson should take to address this discrepancy? A. Immediately cut expenses by reducing labor hours across all FB outlets. B. Conduct a detailed variance analysis separating controllable and uncontrollable expenses to identify specific drivers. C. Increase menu prices to cover higher expenses without further investigation. D. Assume the variance is due to seasonal fluctuations and wait for next month's report. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Effective financial control requires pinpointing the causes of variances. Cutting labor blindly. A. Risk service quality. Raising prices. C. Without understanding drivers can harm competitiveness. Ignoring variance. D. Delays corrective action. Detailed variance analysis separates controllable expenses. E. G. Labor supplies from uncontrollable. E. G. Fixed costs, allowing targeted responses per guidelines. This approach aligns with best practices in hospitality finance, improving operational efficiency and preserving profitability. Question 12. In a modern context of digital marketing strategies, Esther Collins, the marketing manager, aims to optimize the hotel's online presence through social media and OTA channels. What critical factors should he focus on to maximize booking conversions while controlling distribution costs? A. Prioritize all OTAs equally to increase visibility regardless of commission rates. B. Develop balanced distribution strategy emphasizing direct booking incentives and selective OTA partnerships. C. Avoid direct booking channels to rely exclusively on third-party platforms for volume. D. Focus solely on social media campaigns without considering OTA channel performance. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. An effective digital marketing strategy balances visibility and cost efficiency. Equal OTA prioritization. A. Ignores cost differences, avoiding direct channels. C. Leads to high commission expenses, ignoring OTA data. D. Limits optimization, encouraging direct bookings through website promotions and loyalty programs, while selectively managing OTAs reduces dependency in commission costs as advised in ACE My Distribution Channel Management Principles and E-commerce Best Practices. Question 13. Under the assumption that Esther Patel, the hotel's general manager, is reviewing the organizational structure to improve departmental coordination, which organizational design principle should he prioritize to enhance communication and decision-making? A. Maintain strict departmental silos to ensure accountability within each unit. B. Implement matrix structure that promotes cross-functional collaboration while retaining functional expertise. C. Centralize all decision-making at the executive level to streamline commands. D. Flatten the structure by removing middle managers entirely to speed up processes. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Matrix organizational structures blend functional expertise with cross-departmental collaboration, improving communication and responsiveness. Critical in dynamic hospitality environments, strict silos. A. Hinder information flow, centralized decisions. C. Slow responsiveness and overload leadership, removing all middle managers. D. Risks losing supervision and expertise. This approach align contemporary organizational behavior theories and child leadership competencies, emphasizing flexibility and coordination. Question 14. From the perspective of labor law compliance, Is Rivera, the HR director, is handling an employee grievance involving alleged unfair dismissal. Which principle should guide her initial response to ensure adherence to employment regulations and minimize legal risk? A. Immediately terminate the employee to avoid prolonged disruption. B. Conduct a thorough documented investigation to establish facts and follow due process. C. Ignore the grievance assuming it will resolve itself. D. Settle with the employee without investigation to prevent bad publicity. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Employment laws require due process and documentation in handling grievances to protect both the employee's rights and the employer from legal claims. Immediate termination. A. Without investigation risks wrongful dismissal suits. Ignoring complaints. C. Breaches regulatory compliance. Premature settlements. D. Without fact-finding can undermine future cases. Fair documented process follows guidelines. Agencies like the EOC and labor boards protecting organizational integrity and employee relations. Question 15. With respect to guest satisfaction and service recovery, Mr. Davis, the front office manager, encounters a guest dissatisfied with a booking error causing room unavailability. According to best practice, what is the most effective recovery strategy Mr. Davis should implement? A. Apologize and offer a room upgrade or alternative accommodations promptly. B. Explain the hotel policy and deny compensation since the guest did not book directly. C. Offer a refund without addressing the inconvenience or follow up. D. Refer the guest to corporate customer service to handle the complaint later. Answer. Correct answer A. Explanation. Effective service recovery involves acknowledging the problem, empathizing, and offering a timely solution to restore guest goodwill. Policy defense without resolution. B. Impersonal refunds. C. Or deferring responsibility. D. Risk negative reviews and loss of loyalty. Hospitality service standards emphasize empowerment of frontline staff to resolve issues on the spot, improving guest satisfaction and retention as support by the child leadership and rooms management competencies. Question 16. Given the circumstances, Mrs. Bennett, the FB director, is evaluating menu engineering reports showing a decline in popularity for high-margin items. What conceptual approach should she take to optimize the menu for both profitability and guest satisfaction? A. Remove all low-selling items immediately regardless of margin. B. Analyze sales volume, contribution margin, and guest feedback to redesign the menu strategically. C. Increase prices on all items to improve margins without changing menu content. D. Introduce more complex dishes to appeal to gourmet guests exclusively. Answer. Correct answer B. Explanation. Menu engineering balances profitability and guest preferences. Removing items without analysis. A. Risks eliminating customer favorites. If blanket price increases. C. Can reduce demand. If focusing only on gourmet items. D. Limits market appeal. Strategic redesign based on sales data, margin contribution, and guest input aligns with best practices in FB management, enhancing revenue and satisfaction as recommended by hospitality, financial, and marketing literature. Question 17. From the perspective of risk management and financial compliance, Mr. Liu, the hotel's CFO, is concerned about fraud risks related to cash handling at multiple outlets. Which internal control procedure would best mitigate these risks? A. Allow a single trusted employee to manage all cash transactions to ensure accountability. B. Segregate duties so that different employees handle cash receipts, deposits, and reconciliations. C. Remove cash handling entirely and operate only on credit cards. D. Rely solely on periodic external audits without internal controls. Answer. Correct answer B. Explanation. Segregation of duties is a fundamental internal control to prevent fraud by ensuring no single employee has control over all aspects of a transaction. Entrusting all cash functions to one person. A. Increases risk. Eliminating cash. C. May not be practical to rely only on external audits. D. Is reactive, not preventative. Strong internal controls align with COSO framework principles, hospitality accounting standards to safeguard assets and ensure compliance. Question 18. When evaluating the merits of capital budgeting projects, Is O'Connor, the hotel's financial analyst, compares payback period and internal rate of return. What critical limitation of the payback period should she consider when making investment recommendations? A. It accounts for the time value of money, giving precise measure of profitability. B. It ignores cash flows beyond the payback period, potentially overlooking long-term benefits. C. It is the best metric for ranking mutually exclusive projects. D. It always favors projects with higher profitability. Answer. Correct answer B. Explanation. The payback period calculates how quickly initial investment is recovered but ignores cash flows occurring after the payback point and does not consider the time value of money, which can mislead decision-making. O and NEV address these issues by evaluating overall profitability and discounting. This limitation is highlighted in financial management principles taught for hospitality capital investment decisions, advising caution in relying solely on payback. Question 19. During the process of crisis management following the security breach, Mr. Sullivan, the hotel security manager, must decide on communicating with affected guests. What is the most appropriate course of action to align with legal and ethical standards? A. Delay notification until the investigation is complete to avoid panic. B. Inform affected guests promptly with transparent details and steps taken to mitigate harm. C. Only notify guests if the breach leads to confirmed identity theft. D. Outsource communication to a public relations firm without internal involvement. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Data breach laws such as DDR and various U.S. state laws require timely notification to affected individuals to protect their rights and maintain trust. Delaying a or limiting notification C can result in legal penalties and reputational damage. Outsourcing communication D may be part of the plan but should be coordinated internally for accuracy in compliance. Transparency and promptness reflect ethical crisis communication best practices in hospitality security. Question 20. In terms of sustainability and environmental practices, is Kim, the hotel's operations manager, plans to reduce the property's energy consumption? Which strategy best balances environmental responsibility with operational effectiveness? B. Implement energy-saving technologies combined with staff training on conservation practices. B. Shut down all HVAC systems during off-peak hours regardless of guest comfort. C. Remove all decorative lighting to cut electricity costs. D. Rely solely on purchasing renewable energy certificates without operational changes. Answer. Correct answer A. Explanation. Sustainability initiatives are most effective when technological solutions are supported by staff engagement, fostering behavior changes that reduce energy use without compromising guest experience. Turning off systems indiscriminately. B. Risks comfort complaints. Removing lighting. C. Can negatively affect ambience. Relying only on offsets. D. Does not reduce actual consumption. Combining technology. Training aligns with green hotel standards like LEED and Green Key, ensuring measurable and sustainable impact. Question 21. During the process of preparing the hotel's annual budget, Mr. Harris, the Director of Finance, is confronted with unexpected fluctuations in energy costs. Given the volatility, what budgeting approach should he adopt to best manage this risk while maintaining financial accuracy? A. Use zero-based budget to reevaluate every expense line item annually. B. Apply fixed budget based on last year's actual costs without adjustments. C. Incorporate flexible budget with variable cost projections tied to occupancy levels. D. Ignore energy costs volatility as one-time anomaly and maintain the original budget. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. A flexible budget adjusts for changes in activity levels like occupancy, providing more realistic projections for variable costs such as energy. Zero-based budgeting is comprehensive but time-consuming and may not respond quickly to fluctuations. Fixed budgets B. Fail to reflect real-time changes, reducing accuracy. Ignoring volatility D. Risks budget overruns. Flexible budget lines with best practices in hospitality financial planning, enhancing control and forecasting accuracy amid uncertain cost environments. Question 22. From the perspective of sales techniques, is Jenkins, the group sales manager, is negotiating a contract with a large corporate client who demands significant concessions to protect hotel profitability. Which approach best balances client satisfaction and hotel financial goals? A. Accept all client requests to secure the booking regardless of margin impact. B. Refuse concessions and maintain standard pricing policies. C. Employ a value-based negotiation offering concessions tied to increased volume or future business commitments. D. Immediately escalate the negotiation to senior management to avoid personal accountability. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Value-based negotiation links concessions to reciprocal benefits, ensuring profitability while meeting client needs. Accepting all requests they jeopardizes margins. If flat refusal B. Risks losing the client. Escalating prematurely D. Can undermine sales manager authority. This approach aligns with consultative selling techniques and revenue management principles, emphasizing win-win outcomes and long-term relationship building in hospitality sales. Question 23. In light of recent developments regarding labor regulations, Mr. O'Leary, the HR manager, needs to revise the hotel's employee scheduling system. The hotel operates 24/7 with fluctuating demand. Which scheduling principle best ensures compliance with labor laws while optimizing workforce efficiency? A. Schedule employees for fixed shifts regardless of demand variability to simplify management. B. Use predictive labor scheduling tools to forecast demand and communicate schedules well in advance. C. Require employees to remain on call without guaranteed pay to cover unexpected busy periods. D. Avoid overtime by capping employee hours strictly at 40 per week without considering business needs. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Predictive scheduling tools improve labor law compliance, e.g. advance notice, rest periods, and operational efficiency by matching staffing to demand. Fixed shifts, A, can cause over or understaffing. On-call without pay, C, may violate wage laws, strict hour caps. D, may underserve guests during peaks. Adhering to laws like the Fair Labor Standards Act (FLSA) and predictive scheduling regulations fosters compliance and employee satisfaction, crucial for hospitality operations. Question 24. Based on the information, Mr. Sanchez, the rooms division manager, is tasked with improving guest security after a series of thefts in the hotel lobby. Which security controls should he prioritize to most effectively reduce risk? A. Increase staff presence without changing existing security protocols. B. Install surveillance cameras and integrate with access control systems for monitoring. C. Request guests to report suspicious activity but avoid investing in technology. D. Restrict lobby access to register guests only without staff oversight. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Modern security relies on technology combined with staff vigilance. Surveillance and access control systems provide real-time monitoring, deterrence, and evidence collection, aligning with industry security standards, e.g., as is international guidelines. Increasing staff alone, A, may not deter crime effectively. Relying solely on guest reporting, C, is reactive. Restricting access without oversight, D, may inconvenience guests and not address root issues. Integrated security technology is critical for comprehensive loss prevention. Question 25. In a context of ethical leadership, is Walker, the general manager, faces a situation where a popular employee is suspected of falsifying expense reports. What is the best leadership response to maintain integrity and morale? A. Ignore the issue to preserve team harmony. B. Conduct a confidential investigation following company policies and communicate outcomes transparently. C. Immediately terminate the employee without investigation to set an example. D. Delegate the issue to HR without further involvement. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Ethical leadership requires impartial, confidential investigations respecting due process, ensuring fairness, and protecting organizational integrity. Ignoring misconduct, A. Undermines standards. The immediate termination, C. Risks legal repercussions. Delegating only, D. Neglects GM responsibility. Transparency post-investigation reinforces trust, aligns with HR ethics competencies, and complies with laws and corporate governance best practices. Question 26. From a financial performance analysis perspective, Mr. Kim, the finance director, notes a declining current ratio over several quarters. What underlying issue might this indicate about the hotel's liquidity, and what actions should he consider? A. The hotel is accumulating excessive cash. Consider investing in long-term assets. B. The hotel may have increasing short-term liabilities or declining current assets, risking liquidity issues. Consider improving working capital management. C. Current ratio only reflects profitability and can be ignored in liquidity assessment. D. The hotel should increase debt financing immediately to offset the ratio decline. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. The current ratio, current assets, current liabilities, measures liquidity. Declining ratio suggests potential difficulty meeting short-term obligations. This signals the need for tighter working capital management, such as improving receivables collection or managing payables. Excess cash, A, is unlikely if liquidity is declining. Profitability, C, is separate measure increasing debt. D, could worsen liquidity. This financial analysis principles in hospitality accounting per Usoli and corporate finance best practices. Question 27. Demonstrated by market trends, is O'Neill, the marketing director, wants to refine the hotel's segmentation strategy. Which criterion should she prioritize to ensure marketing efforts effectively target profitable customer segments? A. Demographics exclusively, such as age and gender. B. Geographic location, only focusing on local markets. C. Behavioral and psychographic factors, including booking habits, preferences, and motivations. D. Randomly targeting all potential guests to maximize reach. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Effective segmentation considers behavioral and psychographic data to identify profitable and loyal customer groups, allowing personalized marketing. Demographics A and geography B alone provide limited insight. Random targeting D is inefficient and costly. This approach follows contemporary marketing theories and 8SMI guidelines that emphasize deep customer understanding to optimize resource allocation. Conversion rates. Question 20. While examining the hotel's purchasing process, Mr. Edwards, the procurement manager, discovers inconsistent supplier performance leading to inventory shortages. What supply chain management principle should he apply to mitigate these issues? A. Consolidate suppliers to build stronger relationships and leverage volume discounts. B. Increase the number of suppliers to avoid dependence on single source. C. Order supplies in smaller, more frequent quantities regardless of cost. D. Avoid formal contracts to maintain supplier flexibility. Answer. Correct answer. An explanation. Supplier consolidation fosters reliability, stronger partnerships, and better terms, improving supply chain stability. Too many suppliers. B. Complicate management. Small frequent orders. C. Increase transaction costs. And no contracts. D. Increase risk and reduce accountability. These principles align with supply chain best practices in hospitality procurement and risk management frameworks. Question 29. Given the circumstances, Mr. Blake, the food and beverage controller, is reviewing inventory management and notices high variance in beverage costs. What internal control measure is most effective to identify and reduce this variance? A. Perform periodic physical counts without linking to sales data. B. Implement a beverage inventory tracking system integrated with POS and sales reports. C. Increase beverage pricing to compensate for losses. D. Allow managers discretion in inventory recording to reflect operational realities. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Integration of inventory and POS data allows accurate variance analysis, highlighting shrinkage or theft, supporting corrective action. Periodic counts alone A. Are insufficient. The price increases C. May harm competitiveness. A discretionary recording D. Risks inaccuracies. This aligns with best practices in FB cost control as outlined in USOLI and hospitality financial management literature. Question 30. Taking into account the principles of strategic planning, is Lopez, the general manager, is developing a 5-year plan focusing on market positioning and competitive advantage. Which steps should be her priority to ensure a successful strategic plan? A. Set aggressive financial targets without considering market conditions. B. Conduct a thorough SWOT analysis to assess internal strengths and external opportunities and threats. C. Implement cost-cutting measures immediately to increase short-term profits. D. Focus exclusively on increasing marketing spend. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. SWOT analysis provides a structured foundation to understand the hotel's capabilities and market environment, guiding realistic, aligned strategic objectives. Aggressive targets A. Without data, risk failure. A premature cost-cutting C. May harm quality marketing focus alone. D. Overlooks broader strategy. Strategic management frameworks endorse SWOT as essential for informed decision-making and system competitive advantage.